There appears to be a new young star in the world of professional golf, and he goes by the name of Ludvig Aberg. The 23-year-old out of Texas Tech really shot up to a pretty meteoric rise after leaving college just a few months ago. Former #1 AM in the world, goes on to win the European Masters and is now playing for the European team on the Ryder Cup. Captain Luke Donald has referred to Ludvig Aberg as what he believes to be a generational talent. Let's look at the golf swing that has allowed Ludvig Aberg to become golfing's next sensation. Starting off with what Ludvig does over the ball, I love how fluid and in motion he is. He's always moving his feet, readjusting his weight transfer, as well as moving and waggling the golf club. And right after his final club waggle is done, he begins the swing. What this is really effective in doing is letting loose any tension that builds up in the golf swing. If you stand stagnant over the golf ball, then you're going to build up tension in the arms, and it's not going to be good for when you take away the club with a lot of tension. So being in constant motion is something simple that Aberg does, but it's super effective in creating a smooth rhythm through the ball. Talking about that very swing rhythm, I think that the swing tempo that Aberg has in his golf swing is pretty standard. It's not overly slow. I don't see it being too fast. What it is and what's most important about it is how repeatable that motion is. It's a very one plane golf swing. So generally with monoplane golf swings, we see fairly standard swing tempo speed. We don't see people going too slow. We don't see them going too fast. And again, as long as what you're doing is consistent in terms of swing rhythm, which Aberg is on the number consistent with that swing tempo, it's going to work for you. Now in the takeaway, and this is something that you can see really well in this caddy view video, look how straight that left arm is. This isn't something that is necessarily, not all golfers have a perfectly straight left arm. Someone who we've seen playing very well with a bent leading arm is Viktor Hovland, but Aberg has an extremely straight arm, great extension, amazing swing width, and this is just with a short iron. And what that allows him to do is really open up that upper body. That upper body rotation is really what creates a lot of his speed and a lot of that swing power, especially with the driver. And I will say that it's not really a full rotation. We're not seeing like a Justin Thomas level of rotation here, but because of the consistent tempo and the one-plane golf swing, Aberg's swing is super efficient in its nature, so he can really explode through the ball with the speed created from not only that arm extension, but also really solid upper body rotation. This does take great strength, it does take great flexibility, but it's something that is super, super effective. Another thing I want to point out from this down the line view is how still Aberg's head is, and also how that head comes up at impact. So in that takeaway, there's no coming off the ball. There's no reverse pivot. His weight is staying perfectly centered on where it started. His weight is obviously a little bit forward, but once that weight is locked in forward, in that takeaway, there is no weight transfer. The weight transfer begins right at that move through impact. When you see a little bit of side bend and you see him come through the ball, that head does come up pretty notably before the ball is struck. Again, I've made videos in the past about, do you need to keep your head down? And I think it's good advice for a novice golfer. I think it's advice that can hold back a golfer who's trying to improve their game after getting out of the novice stage. So, people like Dustin Johnson, Jim Furyk, and now Ludvig Aberg, they don't have that head down. It allows their upper body to clear out. Again, with the amount of upper body rotation that Ludvig has off the ball, he needs to clear that out if he wants to make that potential energy turn into kinetic energy and get swing speed. So there's obviously no sway whatsoever in this golf swing, which is great. Especially with driver, having no sway in your golf swing is super helpful for good ball striking. And furthermore, it's just a very condensed golf swing. It looks free, it looks fluid. Now, I'm not going to say it's fluid as like an Ernie Els or a Fred Couples, but within the mechanics of his swing, it seems like Ludvig is just super confident in what he does. And that's because he's always been a very hard worker. At Texas Tech, he was always last guy on the range. He spends a ton of time on his golf swing, and to get to his level, you obviously need to, not only mechanically, but in terms of the confidence that you have over the ball. And it's very clear that Aberg has that confidence and will continue to have it. Super excited to see what he does throughout the rest of this season and in the Ryder Cup. This is clearly one of golf's brightest young stars, and it surely looks like we'll be seeing a lot more of him on professional broadcasts all over the world. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the golf swing of Aberg. If you have any questions on something that I mentioned or something I failed to mention, please leave those comments in the comment section down below. I read and reply to all comments on these videos. Thank you all very much for watching. Play well and take care.